Here they come. Off the turn, the green flag is out, and we're underway on a Sunday afternoon.
Shinji Poulin moves to the front of the pack, and he sets the pace in turn number 2. But already Brian McCarthy is moving in and challenging as they head down the back straightaway.
Into turn number 3, McCarthy up on the outside, Poulin down on the inside, and Jensen runs in the second spot. Here they come off the turn. This time they'll complete lap number 1 with 99 left to go.
Shinji Poulin at the front of the pack. He holds on in position number 1. Jensen now into second. Here comes Rod Cody. They're 3 wide in a bid for position number 3. Tommy Fox down the middle. He takes over the third spot as Cody drops back to 4.
Here they come. They'll work their way off the turn as Shinji Poulin continues to set the pace here this afternoon. Poulin, who has been such a strong force all year long, is in the position he has waited for all season long.
All of a sudden, deep into turn number 2, the new battle develops for position number 5. It is Cliff Stakey to the inside, but to the outside goes Jimmy Ward. Bubby Brower loses a right front tire on car number 16, and that possibly indicates it will be going to caution as they come off the 4th turn. Down to the line, there is no caution. Now it comes out as they head into turn number 1.
It could be interesting as the tire decides to roll right in front of the field, and now everybody's able to make it by. Herb Bennett coming very, very close to him and gets back into the thick of things without too much of a loss.
Well, Bubby Brower, of course, had his share of problems earlier during the qualifying, but was able to move into a qualified spot. Down on pit road for the number 1 spot, McCarthy heading into the pit area. His crew awaits his arrival. Let's see what the story is there. A check with Brian. They have the hood up on the number 41.
That is never a good sign when a car hits the pit area and the hood goes up.
Back tank, they're looking for some kind of missing or leaking fuel. They don't have time. He's back out. Back up to you.
Thank you, Pat. Well, Brian McCarthy comes back out. Hopefully that problem is over with. For McCarthy, he's got a long way to go, but plenty of time to get the job done. Back to green off the 4th turn. Shinji Poulin back in command. Mike Jensen got himself second. But Rod Cody is down underneath Tommy Fox to bid for position number 3. Wayne Ibitz pulls out to the center of the infield with car number 00, and it appears that Ibitz is definitely out of the competition. But back to racing conditions, we've got Stakey down underneath Tom Fox. Cliff Stakey sees some racing room open up as Cody makes the mistake of going wide. It is Stakey up to 3rd, and Jimmy Ward is following him through run, trying to work the inside lane to his advantage.
Just remember how hot Ward was in his qualifying round, and he certainly is hooked up now. He is up into position number 4. Cody is on the outside, but keep a very close eye on car number 19, Rondo, who could pick up $2,000 extra in money. Apparently sits well within the top 10. The other potential driver for that bonus is the 38 of Sylvester.
While Rondo and Sylvester are trying to get dialed in and head to the front of the field, Jimmy Ward looks for some racing room on the bottom of Cliff Stakey. Ward dives down low, tries to pick up the spot. He almost has it. Remember, Ward hasn't been the victory lane in quite some time, and he is long overdue with a list of wins that far exceed most of the competitors' victory in this particular division. Ward is now up to the 3rd spot. Here comes Rondo. He's already up to 4th. Then Wade Gagner runs in the 5th spot. Another car that looked real quick in the qualifying round was Gagner. He's showing some of that quickness right now as he is now among the top 5 automobiles.
Fox in the 47 is also coming up through. Apparently there is some kind of a thing with Tom Fox and orange paint, and he is doing very, very well in that green backup car. Meanwhile, the field begins to stretch out just a little bit, and it looks like we're running pretty much single file for the first 2/3 of the field as they head back for turn number 3. Poulin continues to set the pace. He's led for the first 10 laps. 11 are down this time around, and 89 are left to run, and Ward now looks to make a move and try to pick up second from Jensen.
No question about it. There is the bid for position number 2, but it is currently more heated for the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th spot. Down on pit road, car number 51G heads back to the pit area, but now Rondo finds Wade Gagner to the inside. Gagner has now moved into the 4th spot. He is looking very, very strong. The Mayberry Associates number 7 is up to the 4th spot, but here comes Rondo to challenge back, and no question about it, Gagner and Rondo with Ward are among the fastest cars in the racetrack. If they get some clear sailing, they're going to be factors in this one for sure.
Jimmy Ward has managed to pick up that second spot from Jensen, and now here comes Gagner down to the inside. Rondo is also running towards the front, but Rondo is up on the outside. Jensen right around sideways as they exit turn number 4. Everybody makes it okay, and the 7 of Gagner now slides in to pick up that third position. 4th is the 47 machine of Fox. Here comes the 8 of Chuck Zentarski, followed by the 19 of Rondo, the 90 of Cody, the 66 of Stakey, and suddenly here comes the 38 of Sylvester.
Zentarski is looking stronger than he has all season long with car number 8. Ward dives down low underneath Gene Poulin, and Ward makes it look so easy as he literally takes over position number 1. Jim Ward is turning in a gangbuster run here at the front of this pack, but right behind Ward and challenging Gene Poulin is car number 7 for Wade Gagner. He is definitely closing in on position numbers 1 and 2.
The first major race ever held for this division was a year ago, Labor Day weekend at the Thompson Speedway, and Jimmy Ward won that 100-lap feature event. He has not been in victory lane yet this year.
Straight away, there's a bid for the 3rd spot. And they're pretty much evenly matched in their quest for that position as they come off the turn.
As they exit 4 bend, they run almost side by side. Poulin has a slight advantage at the line, but it looks like Fox is really hooked up. He takes the car deep into turn number 1, puts the hammer down, and now Tom Fox has moved into the 3rd position, and Chuck Zentarski just rides the rails right up through. Zentarski has taken the captain's galley, car number 8, into the 4th position as they exit turn number 4.
Currently, Chuck Zentarski, 5th spot is Gene Poulin, then 7th spot is Rondo, 8th spot is Cody, 9th is Sylvester, and 10th currently is Cliff Stakey with car number 66.
Rondo gets underneath the 78 of Poulin. Cody makes the same kind of move as they had for turn number 3. Keep a close eye on the 19 and the 38.
Ford setting the pace at the front of the field, but Gagner is starting to show that he is moving in and gaining on some of the ground. Literally in turns 3 and 4 that time, he gained almost a car length in his quest to take over position number 1. Now remember, 100 laps is a long way to go, so a lot of strategy here by these competitors to pace them down.
And the regular night feature, that goes back to the first the first non-rain out we had in the month of June. And he would like to kind of add to that by picking up for on the season, should he win here today.
Sylvester, meanwhile, has just went around Gene Poulin, and now Sylvester sets in the 6th. Correction, make that the 7th spot as they come off the turn. Tony Sylvester, who said earlier today that he was going to pace himself and that in order to take down that bonus money,
he the 8 of Poulin, the 66 of Stakey, the 92 of Fern. Then it is Jensen, followed by Herb Bennett Sr., Leo Bim Adams, Bob Green, Larry Cody, Al Rondo, and John Ledger. That's the way it shapes up with 28 laps of competition in the record books. Jimmy Ward continues to lead him off in turn number 2.
Zentarski now is being pressured heavily by Phil Rondo. And while all that was happening, a little bit further back in the pack, Tommy Fern has went around Cliff Stakey to pick up yet another spot with car number 92. 28 laps are showing. When they come back to the line, it is 29 on the board, and it is still Jim Ward out in front. Wade Gagner still sets in 2nd. 3rd spot is still the number 47 of Tommy Fox, and then we've got Chuck Zentarski setting in the 4th spot. But look out, here comes Rondo to try to pressure on the inside. Rondo dives down low, works the inside groove rather nicely. Zentarski comes back across and literally keeps his foot in it all the way as they come back to the line. That just goes to show you that he's running for the money here today. He's not going to give up at all, and he makes Rondo work for it. And that's exactly what Rondo did, as he picks up the spot, and he is now finds himself sitting in the 4th position.
You know, that's pretty sharp driving on the part of both of those.
In 10, just out of the top 5. Cody puts some pressure on Zentarski, and now Tony Sylvester is setting in the 7th spot with car number 38.
At one point, only a few laps ago, had Gagner right on his rear bumper. Ward has now managed to open it up about a 6-car length advantage over Wade Gagner. Tom Fox, probably the surprise of the afternoon in the Bob Green car, as Fox holds on to that 3rd position, and the top 3 run pretty much uncontested. However, the 19 of Rondo and the 38 of Sylvester do not appear to be cars that are just hell-bent for the front. They appear to be drivers with the cars that are just taking life nice and easy and very, very deliberate, wanting to stay within eye shot of the leaders, but not wanting to beat on the race cars, because only 33 laps have been complete thus far. A long, long way to go.
In front of him, it is still Ward, setting a blistering pace at the front of this field, and now Tommy Fox is moving in to put some pressure on the number 7 automobile of Wade Gagner. Gagner still running in second, and it still appears that Jim Ward is not letting them get too close, or is he letting them get in within striking distance of him? Now Ron Cody is down underneath Chuck Zantarski in turn number 2. Cody goes to the bottom side of the racetrack. Sylvester is watching all this just in front of him. Let's see what's going to happen in turn 3.
As they work their way through 3 and 4, Cody has the advantage. Sylvester just follows right through that same open door, but Zantarski battles back as they head down the front straightaway. Back into 1, it looks like Sylvester gets the advantage, and he does.
And Brian McCarthy. Now the number 09 of Breed appears to have a problem. He heads down pit road with the Monte Carlo. Tough day for him. You can see some smoke apparently coming off in front of the engine department, coming out of the right front fender well of car number 09. His crew will check out that car, and are right there as a factor just in front of him. Now Jim Ward's coming up on the lapped automobile. He looks at a very squirrely car number 06, but is able to get by. Now it'll be up to Wade Gagner and Tommy Fox to do the same type of a thing. And of course, this will give Jim Ward some extra breathing time.
You know something, I was just going to say, something, Ben, that's really worth noting here, and that is the fact that this division has probably been the most consistent division, no matter where they have run, in putting on some of the most incredible races all season long. And they're doing it again here today. Thus far, 40 laps have been run, virtually trouble-free. Only one quick caution very, very early on, and they continue to do a masterful job driving through traffic, setting the pace, working each other. Very, very intelligently run race on the part of virtually every driver out there thus far.
Now down the back straightaway, Wade Gagner has moved around that lap traffic. Right behind him is still Tommy Fox. Rondo still sessing in the 4th spot. 5th spot is Cody, 6th is Sylvester, and 7th spot is Chuck Zantarski. 42 laps are showing. Soon they will reach the halfway marker in this event.
As he hopes to try one way or another to get back into the thick of this thing.
Well, when they come back to the line this time, Jim Ward is going to get the halfway marker in this event. 50 laps are now into the record books. He's halfway home, but the most important half is part 2. And Jim Ward has drove a flawless race for the first 50. He's still got 50 more circuits around this half mile before he'll end up in the winner's circle. Now Tony Sylvester is aware of that factor that they're at the halfway. If he's been saving anything, he has got to put it to the test at this point. Sylvester down underneath Cody, and that doesn't put him up on the scoreboard yet, but it puts him 1 position off. Now he is your 5th place automobile.
51 laps complete as we now begin to mark them off as we head back down. The battle for second is starting to get hot and heavy as Fox momentarily found running room underneath Wade Gagner. Fortunately, a left car was there for Gagner, and all of a sudden, that battle is really, really heating up. Also, Rondo is now beginning to close in on those cars that are running second and third, looking to try to pick up some running room there.
Tommy Furr now, a car that was running among the top 10 automobiles, was all the way up to about the 7th or 8th spot. He is the 1988 Riverside champion, and he goes to the pit area. It appears that there is a problem beneath the hood of the Furr number 92. The orange shirts of the crew are working feverishly, checking out the engine department there, and now Norm Plantier is back down on pit road with car 23. Dana Young, perhaps the strongest of the Fords, is also in the pits with the number 53, and 53 laps show on the scoreboard. The battle is still raging between Tony Sylvester and Ron Cody. Sylvester and Cody are not going to let either. As $7,000 in posted awards is the story for this the late model street stock feature at $1,200. We'll await the winner of this event. And currently, facing that $1,200, it is Jimmy Ward, Wade Gagner in second, Tommy Fox in third, Johnny Weeks back down pit road.
Interesting battle between Sylvester and Cody just came to an end, or maybe it didn't after all. Sylvester managed to get underneath Cody, but Cody comes right back to try to pick up that position. You were mentioning...
It back out of the pit, or apparently some type of an ignition problem with car number 92. He makes it back out, but he has lost several laps setting on pit road, and that's going to cost him. With 57 laps showing in the scoreboard, the attrition rate has really not been high in this event. The leader now has a blocked racetrack in front of him, and now Fox has moved into position number 2. Tom Fox used the lap traffic to his advantage. Now Rondo is looking to do the same type of thing. As Herb Bennett Sr. says, no way. If you want to get around me, I'm running right where I'm supposed to in the racetrack, and you've got to take the outside way around. Wade Gagner uses that to his advantage. Tom Byrne tries to fight back. He's at least 3 or 4 laps down, but the battle is still on just into the top 5.
Rondo has been trying desperately to use the Bennett car to his advantage, but so has Gagner, and Cliff Stakey has spun into the infield over the back straightaway. He refires that car, and we remain under green. A lot of smoke now coming from the Scott Hanks car number 02, and it looks like the Enfield Motorsports machine is going to be done for the day here at the Stafford Speedway. Tough break for Scott Hanks as he retires that car into the infield, and an improper entrance to the pit area could end up costing Scott Hanks for this deal as well.
Cliff Stakey now also heading down pit road after Stakey had spun just coming off turn number 2. His crew anxiously checking out things, the right rear tire, and it appears to be the rear suspension, making a couple of adjustments there. But 61 laps are now complete on the scoreboard, and Jim Ward is still the leader of the pack. Tom Fox is still running in second, and third now by a nose is Phil Rondo. 4th spot is Wade Gagner. Unofficially in 5th is Tony Sylvester. 6th is Chuck Zantarski, and 7th is Ron Cody.
Gagner just tried what looked to be a masterful move. He wasn't able to pull it off, but it was just heads-up driving as he tried to regain the spot by using a lapped car to pinch Rondo. But Rondo had the stick-to-itiveness to keep his foot right down in there, and the rear bumper of the orange car number 47 as they exit turn number 4. And Jimmy Ward now has to begin to start.
Rondo is definitely among the quickest cars still left in the competition. He is now moving in on the back bumper of Tommy Fox, and then we see Wade Gagner also running among the top 5 cars, and Tony Sylvester has gained an awful lot of ground. It is time to go for the money. Go for the gusto here, and they are definitely taking car number 90, Ron Cody, a car that was running among the top 5 here early in the event. Now he's down on pit road, and apparently Cody has some problems with the rear suspension on car number 90.
They're trying to tell him to go ahead, and yet he insists that there's something that has to be checked under the right rear of that race car. Tech Inspector Larry Nisowitz taking a look, and now the battle for second is really starting to heat up, because now it's just in common as they all run pretty much nose to tail on lap number 7.
Now we see once again there's a bid for position number 2. Tommy Fox has maintained that second spot for over 70 laps, and in just about a second here at the line, we're going to see Rondo take over that number 2 spot, but he's not going to get it without a fight from Tommy Fox. Rondo is moving in.
And Fox is really putting up a battle, and what this is doing is this is now giving Jimmy Ward just a little bit of. Fox are eating up a lot of time and a lot of racetracks trying to race each other. They run through turns 1 and 2. Rondo down on the inside, Fox up on the outside, and suddenly Phil Rondo breaks loose, and now Rondo is but 1 position away from a $3,200 payday with his young brother, the only car in between himself and the leader, Jimmy Ward.
And there is still about a regular Friday night program amount of distance left in this event, so
Left to be played out here, and this time Phil Rondo gets to the high side of brother Al, goes up and around, looks to the left car of Ben Adams, and then once he is able to put away Adams, that's it, man. Two cars right in front of him as he is about to begin to lap a total of 5 cars, all running nose to tail.
Jim Ward takes him back down to the line, and 78 laps are now lit up on the scoreboard. Rondo, of course, runs in second. Tommy Fox is third. Fourth is Wade Gagner. Fifth is Tony Sylvester. Unofficially in the 6th spot. Moving to the inside, Tom Fern's problem is back once again. And the Fern crew open up the hood on car number 92.
Here comes your leader off of turn number 4. He has managed to get by Poulin, who seriously slowed up Jimmy's effort and gave Rondo an opportunity to close right in and get very, very close to striking distance. Here comes Rondo down 5 car lengths behind your leader as we find ourselves into the final 19 laps of this event. This time by 81 will go up on the scoreboard. Jimmy Ward has to hang on for another 19 in order to pick up the win. Rondo has 19 laps in order to pick up $3,200.
Well, he has closed it up nicely. It is right there within striking distance. It's almost in his hand. But Jimmy Ward is in search of that victory that Rondo is in search of. The only difference is because of previous feature event victories, Rondo is up for a bonus. And that bonus is going to be the driving force that is definitely conditioning Rondo as he sees those dollar signs starting to light up just in front of him as he is moving in on Jimmy Ward.
He sure does. In fact, he's now effectively reeled him right in and is on the rear bumper. They head through turns 3 and 4. He had been able to glance up at the scoreboard and realize that Rondo was somewhere behind him. Now, it's only a matter of how many inches behind him is the 19, and Rondo is right there. As a matter of fact, only inches off the rear bumper of your lead car, the number 22 for Jimmy Ward.
Rondo is definitely quick. Now he looks at the inside. He puts the hammer down as they'll come off that turn. The leader is still Jim Ward, but Rondo is literally all over his back bumper. Now Rondo dives down low. 2 wheels on the lower apron. Can't do it this time. When they come off the turn, back down to the line, the door suddenly opens up. Jim Ward gets crossed up and comes down. They both fight back to maintain the number 1 spot, and Rondo has now got the lead.
It was a heck of a dogfight there for a couple of seconds, and fortunately both drivers able to recover. And as it stands right now, it looks like Rondo has picked up the lead. Jimmy Ward is drop kicked back into the 2nd spot after leading for 84 circuits.
Well, out in front, it is still.
He's able to gather it back, and we remain under green in what has been a near picture-perfect race event here this afternoon for the late model cars. The 100 for the late model cars. And it looks like Phil Rondo is ready, is staged, and is just waiting for the scoreboard to tick off number 100 and the checkered flag to fall. Rondo has been so successful the last several seasons. The late model division continues to show his dominance. Jim Ward, another of the stalwarts in this division, runs in the 2nd position, followed by Tom Fox, who picked up this ride just here today. Bob Green brings 2 cars to the racetrack, figures if they both run well, he'll give 1 ride to Tom Fox. Fox jumps in the yellow or orange number 6X. They renumber it to 47. And he suddenly finds himself running 3rd in the closing stages with only 2 laps left to run in the Coca-Cola 100 here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. Off the 2nd turn and down that long back straightaway one more time. The 19 of Phil Rondo. This time by, he'll pick up the white flag. Let's follow him around for the final circuit of the half mile. Here comes your leader, The white flag is out as Rondo goes nice and easy down the front straightaway, drops it down low, works his way almost picture perfect through turns 1 and 2, and heads down that long back straightaway for the final time under green. Into the third turn, he drops it down to the line, slowly drifts up about half a lane, aims the car to the start-finish line. The checkered flags are out for Phil Rondo. Jim Ward in for second. In the third place, it is the 47 of Tom Fox, followed by the 7 of Wade Gagner, the 38 of Sylvester. So the man played the waiting game perfectly here this afternoon. He was dealt a hand of cards and knew exactly how to play that hand. And in the end, Phil Rondo not only wins feature number 4 for the 1988 season, but was able to put enough different races together, pick up 3 of the top 5, and as a result of today's win, will not only pick up the $1,200 first prize money for today's event, but will also pick up a $2,000 bonus. Driver Phil Rondo in car number 19, and what a season it has been, what a day it has been for Phil and for his crew. Very, very happy crew now working their way out to the start-finish line for the post-race ceremonies, which will be held here on Coca-Cola 200 Day here at the Stafford Motor Speedway.
Did all.
Phil, today it looks like you planned your strategy just to pace yourself 3/4 of the way through the event, come on like gangbusters, in search of just one thing, the big bucks, the bonus, and the victory. Was that really the story for Phil Rondo?
Yep, I just paced myself, took my time, and tried to go as fast as I could go without wearing the tires out as much as, try to keep the tires as good as I could for the end of the race.
100 laps is a long time around a half-mile race facility. There were hardly any cautions in the event whatsoever. Did that have anything to do with the overall finish?
It might have been. If there was a few more restarts, I think Tony and Mayberry and a couple other guys would have been right up there. I think they were holding back, and I just went a little bit faster in the beginning, and that's where we ended up.
What about when you took over the lead, Phil? Jimmy Ward, who just drove a spectacular race, he came off the turn, all of a sudden both of you were a little bit crossed up, and it was a dogfight. Who was going to get into turn number 1 would have the number 1 spot. And it just so happened it was Phil Rondo.
Well, we come out, we touched a little bit. My tire hit his tire. We both went up a little, come out sideways, and we both gathered it back together. I just happened to be in front of him.
Congratulations, and we know it was a well-earned victory. We're going to let the representatives from Coca-Cola step up to the podium. Phil Rondo and the crew of the H&H Franklin Motors car will set in the winner's circle. A victory worth $1,200 for first and $2,000 in bonus money.
Facing its final feature event for the Modified Division here this year as the pace car dives in. Bernie Singer and Wendell Kilcollins Jr. to bring them around. They'll address themselves to starter Chris Hopkins. Off the turn they come. Green flag is out, and Kilcollins has an advantage as they head for turn number 1.
Wendell Kilcollins jumps out at the front of the field, and he'll start to pull away on top. But the outside lane is looking quick, and Jerry Pearl leads Chuck Doherty, and now Mike Christopher gets hitched up on the outside groove. It is Kilcollins to set the pace out in front with Singer running right there in his back bumper, but here comes Pearl, followed through by Mike Christopher.
They work their way across the line. We have completed the first circuit successfully. No problems as Jerry Pearl and Chuck Doherty begin to dice it up just a bit. Pearl gets a good bite off the second turn, and he moves up to challenge Dave Gallo in for the third spot. Off the turn they come. Pearl now picks up that third position. Chuck Doherty tries to make the same move. He can't do it. He has to tuck back in.
Meanwhile, further back in the pack, just out of the top 10 currently, is Teddy Christopher with car number 13. John Anderson is also coming to life. He is down underneath Lloyd Agar, but now there's a bid for the lead. Off the turn, they come back down to the line. It is now Bernie Singer in command of position number 1. Wendell Kilcollins has to settle for second, but look out, here comes Jerry Pearl. Pearl is right there in hot pursuit as the top 3 start to string it out just a bit away from the 4th place car, and that, of course, is Dave Gallo with car number 38.
The 82 of Christopher, the 0 of Doherty running side by side. Otherwise, it's pretty much single file for about the top 12. Then it is the 50 of Jeff Gallup, who is moving up through as is Bo Gunning in the 71. The 13 of Christopher, remember, he has an opportunity to pick up a couple of grand this afternoon. If Ted Christopher in the 13 can win, he will be in the same spot as was Phil Rondo earlier on this afternoon. Off the turn they come. It is Singer at the line.
Keep your eyes also at Bob Potter with car number 51. Remember, he is the champion, and he is not going to let Teddy Christopher get out of his sight. The last major event held here at this half-mile facility, it was Bob Potter that went to the winner's circle, and he is looking to do it again here today as Christopher picks up a spot from Pat Chiambrello. Bob Potter follows Christopher to the front of the field. Singer still leads him in turn number 1.
Bernie Singer is doing a real heads-up job, but Jerry Pearl is very quietly moved into that second spot, and now here comes the challenge for the lead into turn 3. Jerry Pearl, one of the real veterans, one of the smoothest drivers on the racetrack, trying to make a move on Bernie Singer and set him up so that he can pick up the lead.
Off that second turn, down the back straightaway, Pearl is still right there as a factor, and now he looks to the inside of Bernie Singer. Jerry Pearl makes a bold, aggressive move to the bottom. Won't stick this time, but they come off the turn. He's in striking distance for position number 1.
Pearl and Singer run side by side into the turn. Pearl has the low side. He picks up the advantage, and Jerry Pearl takes up the lead as they head down the back straightaway.
3 different leaders in 8 circuits around this half-mile facility, and now Mike Christopher becomes a factor here. He is long overdue for a victory. He now goes to the outside of Bernie Singer. Pulls it back in, and Singer will slam the door rather suddenly for position number 2.
Here comes the 82 of Christopher down to the low side. He can't make that move, but Doherty, car number 0, drops to the low side of Wendell Kilcullen. Chuck Doherty off the turn, headed for the stripe. He is now into the 4th spot with Georginas right behind him.
Dan Avery and Bobby Mercier come together beneath the Winston Racing Series billboards in turn number 2, and that brings out the first caution of the event with 10 laps showing in the scoreboard. But now finds himself on the back of the B&M Garage wrecker, now out of the competition. Pacecar pulls to the center of the infield. It is time to go racing once again. The green is out. Jerry Pearl has it easy when the field goes back to green.
As they head for turn 1, man, right directly behind Pearl is the 82 of Mike Christopher, the 1987 track champion at the Thompson Speedway, and Christopher is bearing down on the rear bumper of Jerry Pearl. Singer is still hanging in there for 3rd. Chuck Doherty, most popular driver in the division, is in the 4th spot, followed by Wendell Kilcullen, the 86 of Georginas, and the 22 of Jeff Barry. That's how they run. Some of the other heavy hitters working their way to the front. John Anderson in the 89, Richie Gallup in the 50, and of course Ted Christopher, car number 13. Not to mention, of course, the move of Bob Potter, which has put him right directly behind the 13 of Christopher.
Keep your eyes on Richie Gallup. He is picking them off one at a time, and this is the type of event that he usually does the best at. He is one of those drivers that can pace himself, but when he gets to the front of the pack, he will literally start to expand and pull away. He is now just among the top 10 cars, as Pearl is now being pressured heavily by Mike Christopher as they come back to the line.
Christopher certainly is putting the pressure on, and Pearl is not going to have an easy afternoon of it, as many of the heavy hitters, as you mentioned, Ben, still haven't even gotten free from the rest of the pack. So it's going to be a long way to go for Jerry Pearl. 17 laps are up on the scoreboard. Off the turn they come. 18 will go, and Pearl continues to set the pace.
Jeff Barry is now pressuring the number 86 of Georginas. And now Barry has moved into the top 5, but Georginas fights back in dogfight fashion. He tries to maintain position number 5. Chuck Doherty sets in the 4th spot. Mike Christopher looks at the outside of Jerry Pearl. He's going to make a bid for it off the turn, but Pearl brings him back to the line once again with 19 laps and counting down.
They stack them up 2 by 2. There are about 11 cars running under a blanket, side by side, off the turn and down that long back straightaway. Open wheel modified racing at its best, as Jerry Pearl and Mike Christopher continue to dice it out for the lead, with Chuck Doherty, Jeff Barry, Bernie Singer, Bob Georginas, Richie Gallup, and Eddie Spires all just locked together in a tremendous wheel-to-wheel battle which takes up just about 1/3 of the entire pack.
No question about that, as now Gallup right there glued in the back bumper of Georgitis. John Anderson is now moving into that pack of cars, and so is Teddy Christopher. But it's close competition, and there is no breathing room or extra space on the racetrack to try to conquer. There is a real battle shaping up now for position number 5. Gallup is to the inside of Bernie Singer. He has now moved into the 6th spot on the back bumper of Georgitis. The outside lane is open, but Gallup is on the inside. He tries to drift up to the outside. Now shifts back down low and makes a move for it underneath Georgitis. But Georgitis will slam the door as Mike Christopher makes a bid for the lead once again.
Richie Gallup, probably one of the most underrated open-wheel race car drivers in the entire Northeast, as Gallup has shown time and time again that given the proper equipment, this man can really do the job. Avery has retired car number 10. A tough break for Dan Avery. He is apparently out of it this afternoon.
Now Richie Gallup looks to still get around Georgitis. He has tapped him on the back bumper, lets him know he's there, but look at Chuck Doherty. He is now into position number 3 and putting some pressure on Mike Christopher. It could go any ways of about 13 different combinations to take over the number 1 spot. Jeff Berry gets out of it for a moment. That's a shock belt further back through the field as John Anderson now finds Teddy Christopher alongside. They make contact as they come through the turn. Here comes Mike Christopher looking for some racing room on the outside. Can't do it this time, but the pressure is still on at the front of this field.
Here comes Christopher. He looks to the outside. Doherty looks to the inside. And Christopher wants to try to challenge Jerry Pearl, but he's got to be very careful. As Anderson spins down into the infield coming off of turn number 2, we'll see if he can refire that car. He does. We remain under green. A tough break for John Anderson, who had been running so well for so long. Meantime, Doherty now suddenly has his hands full with Jeff Barry, and that gives Mike Christopher a chance to run away and challenge the likes of Jerry Pearl, who continues to lead this event with 26 laps up on the scoreboard. We'll make it 27 this time around for gentleman Jerry Pearl.
No question about it. There are several different places to look if you're looking for excitement. Meanwhile, Teddy Christopher just tried to move alongside of Richie Gallup. Couldn't do it this time, and Bo Gunning was right there as a factor involved in that one. Now Mike Christopher again looks for some racing room on the outside. He pressures Jerry Pearl, but Pearl holds a nice fine line to the inside as the leader. If they're going to go around Pearl, they're going to work for it because he is running right where he is supposed to here on the oval at Stafford.
Last lap around, Ben, some very interesting bumper tag games played with Bo Gunning and Ted Christopher, and then Ted Christopher playing with Richie Gallup. Those 3 cars, every one of them got a little bit squirrely. A side-by-side challenge for the lead now as they head for turn number 2. Who will it be? Pearl on the inside, Christopher up on the outside. As they go down the back straightaway, it is Christopher by a bumper, and a brand new leader emerges as they enter turn number 3 on lap number 29. Here they come off the turn. 30 are now complete, and it is Mike Christopher out in front.
Mike Christopher setting the pace at the front of the field. The 4th different leader of the event with 30 laps showing on the scoreboard. And out of the pack comes Jeff Barry to take over position number 2. Barry is also turning in one of his best runs of the season. Now he is giving a run for it as he tries to get around Christopher to take over the number 1 spot.
Jerry Pearl seemed to run into some problems for a couple of laps, and when he did, those 2 drivers were able to take full advantage. Bobby Georgitis is into the pit area with car number 86, an overheating problem with that machine. You can see an awful lot of smoke coming up from underneath the hood. Meanwhile, up front, it is still a tremendous battle for the lead as a whole pack of cars run nose to tail around the half mile. Every one of them more than capable of taking down the win.
Wow. He does a 360. He's okay, and we're still under green.
Rocco once again proves that,
just as we predicted earlier, Gallup is definitely more than just your average factor in this event. Gallup is coming to the front. He visited Victory Lane last weekend at Waterford. He's going to look for it again here today at Stafford.
Just before the race has been, there were a bunch of us talking, and Richie Gallup was part of that conversation. And of course, after he left, that's when you talk about a person, of course. And the general consensus was that if there ever was a real wheel twister, it is Richie Gallup.
Some people are just enamored natural behind the wheel, and that is the story on Richie Gallup. He is almost the type of competitor that appeared to be born with a steering wheel in his hand. He is right there contending with Jerry Pearl as they head down the back straightaway. Now Ted Christopher comes back to life. Heavy traffic up ahead. Here comes Jeff Berry down underneath Mike Christopher. Traffic becomes the story, but Mike Christopher still maintains the lead. Now Gallup goes around and Eddie Spires moves in. Contact is made, but it doesn't appear to be any severe damage, with perhaps the exception of the Spires number 3X machine.
It looks like there is, at the very least, a flat tire on Eddie Spires' car. It may be more severe than that, as 2 tires are flat. Richie Gallup in trouble as well with car number 50. We'll see if Gallup chooses to jump into the pits or if he just wants to scramble back up to the back of the pack. Let's head to the infield for a report from Pat Evans. Pat.
All right, right now they're still turning those low 20 laps. They're looking at about like a 73.4 mile an hour average so far.
Chances are he is not going to be able to make it without going down a lap. However, a very, very quick crew on the Spires machine, and they might just be able to get Eddie in and out. A lot of action on pit road as Moose Hewitt is in. John Anderson is in after he took the ride through the infield a little bit earlier. Wendell Kilcollins, Pat Chambrello, Richie Gallup has chosen to come in. The 17 of Alan Rodanis has been in, is going back out. Ron Rocco is in with the 13, and Mark Roccaro in car number 58. Ted Christopher came together, which brought out this caution.
Now it appears that Mark Roccaro is heading back out. George Moose Hewitt also headed back out with Wendell Kilcollins, Ron Rocco, who again did one of those wild 360s earlier. And John Anderson makes it back out. The Gallup crew awaiting Joe Catania and the rest of the gang. They check things over. And now Gallup makes it back out. Still a lot of time left. This gentleman can still do it from the back of the pack. Al Rodanis is back out. Moose Hewitt checking the rear.
Here they come. Ben Green flag is back out, and once again Mike Christopher picks up the lead, but Christopher goes up and over as he comes crashing into and around the 22 of Jeff Barry.
Unbelievable situation occurring right at the start. It was even too close to call whether it was green or whether it was going to be a caution situation, and Mike Christopher was literally up and over. Christopher now getting out of the automobile in the dust and the smoke from the center of the infield, and Christopher is out of the car after an unbelievable ride. But what a disappointing afternoon. This gentleman was leading the event, as 1988 has not been a great season for Mike Christopher, who has just ran so strong at times and just continues to have no luck at all. Now it's a red flag situation. Starter Chris Hopkins bringing out the red flag. Scranton Motor Sales wrecker, the Riley Chuck towing wreckers there to assist. And the Christopher car went over so easy, but it was a frightening situation down the front straightaway area. Then, of course, all the dust from the dirt in the center of the infield, making it extremely difficult to see exactly what happened.
Okay, after taking an incredible ride of getting up and over the front end of the 22 of Jeff Barry.
Well, you can see car number 82 being brought back to the center of the infield, and the sling-style hammock on the Chuck's Auto wrecker able to pick up the car. The damage, as you can see, a lot of suspension damage and a lot of sheet metal damage, which makes the car appear to be a lot more severe than it actually might be. Pat Evans, come in, please.
We just had a talk with Mike Christopher. Yeah, he's fine. You can see the car up in the air right now. The damage, you're right, Ben, 100%, is not as serious as it looks right off. There's a lot of sheet metal. I think a rear axle, the front end, but it's back. Mike said so much for a good ride today, but we all saw him do it, and he did it real good. Chuck Doherty also all right, but with front end damage. Now, just right back down here in the pit, still working on the Spears car. It is overheating. They're working on chassis adjustments up in the front end, putting a new tie rod in. He's several laps down trying to get back into it. Wendell Kilcollins, they're not getting the right stagger. They're measuring the tires now, adjusting the air pressure.
Pace car is in, and here they come. Green flag back up. Jerry Pearl jumps on the throttle. Ted Christopher down to the inside of Bo Gunning. They exit turn 4. Here comes Christopher.
Christopher, of course, in search of that magical extra bonus that Phil Rondo had just secured in the late models. It looks like Teddy Christopher's got things under control at the front of this pack. But Jerry Pearl is not going to give up the number 1 spot without a fight. Here comes Bob Potter, the 1988 champion. 4 cars make that 5 under a blanket as John Brigetti puts the backup Christopher car right at the front of the pack with the top 5 automobiles right there, nose to tail, stacked up impressively, bidding for position number 1.
And Teddy inches out ahead of Jerry Pearl as they head for turn 3. Ted Christopher now becomes another leader.
Now. We've got Dave Gallo going around with car 38. Dan Beaupre comes off the racetrack and runs into Gallo. As amazing as it sounds, he does. Now we've got a problem in turn 1. We've got Bo Gunning crossed up and around, but it'll be up to the officials to tell whether the caution was brought out for the situation in turn number 4 or the situation in turn 1. This could be a break.
For whom the caution flew.
Yes.
And we will find out. It looks as though some of the plastic decoration on car number 13 for Christopher is working its way loose. Yes, Pat?
Just real quick, the problem with Bo Gunning is he's now got no clutch, so he's got to get going with it in gear. So that's why he's trying not to stop, but when he does, he needs the push. Back to you.
Okay, very good. Well, that certainly explains the problem for getting the car restarted.
Have the opportunity to check the tally of the laps. So Gunning, who was once a factor, is no longer a factor in the front pack here in this event. Next time, the white flag now being given, and they should be ready to come back to green. Car number 71.
Almost seems as though the clutch has now let go in that car because you can hear Bo revving the engine, but it's not going anywhere, so we'll just have to keep an eye on that.
Off the 4th turn, we're ready to go back to green, and Ted Christopher on the inside of Jerry Pearl now finds himself back in position number 1.
Christopher will lead them into the turn, and Pearl gets hung up on the outside. Here's Bob Potter running in that 2nd spot, and John Brigetti with car number 43 now slides in to challenge Pearl for the 3rd spot, and it looks like it is going to be the 13, the 51, and the 43 as they exit turn 4. That's exactly how it turns out.
John Brigetti has worked his way up to position number 3, and he is right behind Bob Potter to challenge for the number 2 spot. Could be a great day for Teddy Christopher and his crew if they can finish 1 and 2 in this event. Now Bob Potter bids for the number 1 spot against Christopher, but he cannot quite do it this time, and Ted Christopher leads him back down to the line.
Head for turn 2. Christopher seems to be able to open it up just a little bit in the turns, but Potter is just a little bit quicker down the chutes. You can see Teddy taking a nice low run through. Potter closes in, but here comes Teddy to open it up once again just a bit.
Trouble now, Eddie Leclerc gets crossed up. He goes around, takes that long, dusty slide to the center of the infield. We are still under green, but the dust is going to be a factor in this, but it is still Ted Christopher to lead him. Off the 4th turn, the leader sees nothing but dust in front of them, and he comes back to the line. Christopher over Bob Potter. John Brigetti is in 3rd, and we go to yellow.
Here they come. We'll see what happens this time.
They pick up the pace just a bit. Teddy Christopher looks as good as he did the last time, but here comes Bob Potter looking real strong on the outside of Christopher. As they head into turn number 1, they're pretty much evenly matched. Christopher takes advantage of running the inside groove. He tries to hold on to the number 1 spot. Potter tucks it back into 2nd. John Brigetti is pressured heavily by John Anderson as they head into turn number 3.
Keep in mind that low groove is the shorter of the 2, and Christopher, of course, knows his way around this racetrack. And Teddy Christopher looks to the right, to the left, and straight ahead. Sees nobody, but believe me, he knows that Bob Potter is right there knocking on the door, as is his team car, the 43 of Bergenti. They work their way through 3 and 4. Off the turn they come. They'll head for the start-finish line one more time. This time by lap 61 is on the scoreboard, and it is Ted Christopher setting the pace. Bob Potter is in second. Bergenti third. Fourth is the 89 of Anderson. Jerry Pearl rounds out the top 5, but Van Luku is already back to 6th.
Well, Richie Gallup knows the meaning of not giving up, and he is showing just that. From the back of the pack, he has come back to the front of the field. He goes to the outside of Jerry Pearl. Richie Gallup is definitely among the fastest cars on the racetrack, but he's using up a lot of his tires to get back to the front of the field, and that could cost him late in this event. Currently now, he is pressuring Jerry Pearl. He is now moved in, and now Richie Gallup finds himself as the 5th place car on the racetrack. John Bergenti is holding off the pressures of John Anderson, and Bergenti apparently has developed some type of a problem also, because he is now dropping off the pace with car number 43.
Anderson pulls up to go by on the outside, and it looks like it might be a piece of cake for Anderson as Bergenti runs way down low on the racetrack. Bergenti does not try to even head up to the wall. It looks like he may be having trouble keeping the car in gear. He's steering it with one hand and appears to be holding it in gear with the other one, Ben.
It certainly does appear to be the story there from a battle for third, but John Anderson is running the outside groove. John Bergenti is trying to keep it perhaps in gear and maintain his spot on the racetrack. They come back down to the line, and yes, definitely, Bergenti is holding that car in high gear.
Speaking of being in high gear, Anderson certainly is, and so is the 50. Richie Gallup now puts up a challenge alongside of Bergenti as they head for turn 3. It ain't over till it's over, and Richie Gallup certainly could play a major role in this event in the next 30-odd laps as Gallup just about does away with Bergenti, and now will set his sights on the rear bumper of John Anderson and then try to run down the 2 leaders.
Trouble now. Lloyd Agar in the back of the pack. He has a problem, drops off the pace. He is out of harm's way and still continues to run. But the leaders are coming up on 2 lapped automobiles. It is the 86 of Georgitis and Eddie Leclerc with car number 73. Back down the back straightaway. Bob Potter is still right there. Teddy Christopher keeps it nice and low through the turn. Richie Gallup is also moving in on John Anderson now as they come back to the line. P3, once your 5th place automobile goes spinning, the problem that he had of holding the car in gear apparently got the best of it as he goes around in the 4th turn, and that brings out what we think is perhaps the 7th caution of the event. It comes out in lap number 69. An extra $2,000 plus the $2,000 for winning the event. He's got a good shot at it now. 71 laps showing in the scoreboard. We go back to green.
As they cross the stripe, Teddy has the advantage. Anderson now looks to the inside of Potter. Can't make the move that time, but Gallup has pulled right up alongside of Anderson. John has the advantage off of 2, but the top 5 cars make that top 8 cars are now running under a blanket as they run nose to tail off the turn. Bo Gunning has managed to slide himself into that group, but keep in mind he is down 1 lap. But leave it to Bo. He's going to try to get to the front, make up that lap, and then try to come from the back one more time.
Bob Potter got a little bit out of shape coming off that 2nd turn, and now John Anderson is right there as he saw Potter's car bobble just a bit. Richie Gallup running among the top 5 cars, definitely among the quickest in that pack. And now Jeff Berry has come from the back of the pack also as a factor with car 22.
They work their way off the 2nd turn. The top 5 run nose to tail, and Potter takes a quick peek to the outside of Christopher. Potter certainly has his hands full now, as any move he makes leaves at least some door open for John Anderson and Richie Gallup. So Potter has to pick his moves and his position very, very cautiously. Christopher in a good position, an open racetrack in front of him. Only 25 laps left to run in this 100-lap event for the Coca-Cola 100, and Teddy Christopher would like nothing better than to be able to have a nice, easy Sunday evening ride and $4,000 in his wallet.
Eddie Leclerc goes spinning just off from turn number 2, just off the racing surface there. He gets it fired back up, and we're still under green. Ted Christopher is still the leader. Bob Potter is still 2nd. John Anderson and Richie Gallup, followed by Jeff Berry. And then we have the number 71, which is 1 lap down, but still running among the top cars as you see them on the racetrack, even though he is a lapped automobile.
Off of turn number 2, the top 5 continue to run, but Anderson, the 50 of Gallup, and the 22 of Barry have dropped off the pace a few feet, but a few feet means a lot of racetrack when you're running at these speeds. And it is the 13 of Christopher out front, the 51 of Potter. Suddenly Anderson comes to life again and almost makes a move to the inside of Potter as they exit turn number 2. Back to 3, it is still the same single file 5.
To the record books, Teddy Christopher still the leader of the pack. Bob Potter still running in position number 2. And Anderson is still sitting there in 3rd. Jeff Berry puts some pressure on, makes a bid for it. Trying to go around Richie Gallup, can't muster up enough. Here's Anderson again looking to that inside lane. It just doesn't work this time with 83 laps and counting away.
The Coca-Cola 100 sees another problem develop here on the front straightaway as Bob Fletcher goes around with a 56. He refires the car, creates a little cloud of dust of his own, and heads back down the LR Madness racetrack in an attempt to get back out onto the Speedway. It costs him dearly as he does go down yet another lap.
Jeff Berry, a car that was running among the top 5 automobiles, now heads down pit road, and Jeff Berry's afternoon of competition suddenly ends. The Dayglow Orange Machine car apparently has got a severe problem. It doesn't look to head back to the racing surface, and Jeff Berry is out for the afternoon.
Berry retires that car, and it is one less for Ted Christopher, for Bob Potter, John Anderson, and Richie Gallup to worry about. They've got their hands full, but Gallup may have, just as you mentioned earlier, Ben, pretty much used up his tires in his fight to get back to the front of this pack, because Gallup, who was running so strong, suddenly finds himself now in trouble trying to stay with the leaders.
86 laps, of course, are complete on the scoreboard.
Emerged from turn number 4. They've got only 10 laps left to run, and they all know it. Chris Hopkins just gave them the 10-lap marker.
Final 10 circuits, and if Teddy Christopher can hold on, he will have another big payday here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. He is out in front with Bob Potter, who has been there each and every time around, but he is not going to give up easily, as John Anderson is right there to contend on his back bumper. That's the way it's been. Anderson will make a bid for it, then change lanes, but he just doesn't have quite enough to get the job done. In less than 9 circuits, it'll be over. If anybody's been saving anything, it's got to show now.
It sure does, and now with the leaders beginning to encounter lap traffic, it could become very interesting. As you can see, Bob Potter beginning to work the rear bumper of Ted Christopher in the waning laps of this event. Christopher trying to drive a very cautious, very, very conservative race out there, only to maintain his speed and maintain his groove. Anderson wants to pick up at least one more position, and Potter would like to win. So it is a 3-way run for the lead with 93 circuits posted on the scoreboard. We have but 7 left to run here on the half mile. As they emerge from turn number 4, we'll be into the final 5 circuits. 95 down, but 5 left to run as they begin to encounter a host of lapped cars. Christopher gets around Leclerc. Now he looks to go by the Godascas, number 26. Everybody makes it through. Mark Reccaro's number 58 is the next car to go down to the leader. Off the turn they come. Christopher makes it look like a piece of cake as he takes the car deep into turn number 1, gets by the Reccaro machine. He'll have Moose Hewitt and then pretty much clear sailing to the checkered flag. While zipping through this lap traffic, Christopher has been able to pick up about 4 car length advantage over Bob Potter. But Anderson still stuck right to the rear bumper of Potter as they head back to turn number 1. Potter trying to close that gap between himself and the 13 of Christopher. Can't quite make it work as Teddy is hooked up. He is running on rails like he usually does here at the half mile. Off the turn they come. There's the indicator. Only 2 laps left to run. 2 to go from Chris Hopkins. The top 3 cars have clear sailing, and it's put up or shut up time, as they say. The 50 of Richie Gallup going down the back straightaway very, very slowly. A tough, tough break for Richie Gallup. Mark Reccaro also bailing out of the event with only one circuit left to run. The white flag is out, and off the second turn is your leader, car number 13, Ted Christopher. Second will be car number 51 for Bob Potter. Christopher emerges from the turn, looks to the start-finish line, pulls up the number 1, and as a result, will pick up 2. That's $2,000 in bonus money from the Speedway here today, a $4,000 bonus payday for the competitors here at the Stafford Motor Speedway as a result of that $10,000 bonus that was set aside earlier in the season just for such an accomplishment. Ted Christopher takes down the win, followed by Bob Potter and John Anderson. Meanwhile, car number 13, the Sanitary Services Trashaway, car number 13 for Ted Christopher, also sponsored by Bell Detroit Diesel, heads back for one final circuit around the half mile here at Stafford for the 1988 season. And Teddy Christopher, who started out the season by winning the Spring Sizzler, will close the season with a victory here in the Coca-Cola 200 on this Sunday afternoon in the month of October. I'll let him climb out of the race car, and then as soon as he is available, he'll be brought over to the podium, and Ben Dodge will be there to talk with Ted and to extend congratulations and hear exactly what happened. In fact, let's go trackside right about now. Ben?
Well, there's no question about it that Teddy Christopher is well deserving. His crew, when they came to the winner's circle, they were saying this car, when it finishes an event, it only does one thing, and that is wins. It doesn't settle for second. And that's been pretty much the story for Ted Christopher, who picks up a $2,000 victory plus $2,000 in bonus money as part of the bonus. And the crew, you can hear them echo the word bonus in the background, as Teddy will be getting out of the car and heading to Coca-Cola Victory Lane, where he'll be congratulated for the honors. Dexter Burnham has got the victory wreath with him. As now Teddy is about to get out of the automobile. Ladies and gentlemen, he has had an unbelievable 1988 season. He'll head over to the podium and we'll talk to him about a wild event here at the half mile, as Teddy Christopher has done it once again. Ted, that one wasn't easy. Not that any of them are. Early in the event, it almost appeared that you were kind of pacing yourself to get to the front of the field. Your brother Mike met with misfortune, just in the wrong place at the wrong time, but you managed to pull it off. There was no question about that. Bob Potter gave you a run for the money, though.
Yeah, you know, the car was a little loose in the beginning, and it was the caution seemed to help it out. It tightened up a little bit. Yeah, this car is great. You know, the misfortune last time in the Pentax race, we would have been right there in that one too, but we're in Victory Lane where we belong.
Teddy, let's talk a little bit about it. When the crew came to Victory Lane, they told me right up front, they said, this car only knows one thing, and that's to win. Is that really the story with this car? Is it really that special?
Yeah, when it finishes, it wins. It's done. Every time it's finished, it's won this year.
Well, you've had a great 1988 season. You took home a lot of money here today, $4,000 for the win here at the Coca-Cola Fall Final. If you had to list one ingredient that you think is the magic formula for Teddy Christopher this season, what would it be?
The crew and everybody that works together to bring it here.
Well, they have definitely done their job. Representing the Coca-Cola and moving in at this time is Bobby Emhoff, the son of Bob Emhoff, the Vice President of Food Services at Coca-Cola. He gives them the big handshake and the trophies to move in there. I'm going to step down from the podium. In addition to that, from Armadale and, of course, the good folks at Perfect Circle, Victor, and CarQuest, Teddy Christopher will also be receiving a jacket and a shirt. They're all smiles in the winner's circle. We congratulate our winner. We're going to let the crew get up here again, and we'll go back upstairs as Russ Dowd will have the information of the finish once it's compiled. But Teddy Christopher is once again a big winner here at the Stafford Motor Speedway.